Now it's on, right? Not yet. Okay. Good morning. I have to say it just fills my heart with joy to be here and watch you all come in, people who I've been with for so many years and some for a shorter time, but very deeply. Thank you for coming today. I am Jim Verschueren. I'm a one-time worship associate and sometimes worship leader, as I am today. My presence here this morning exemplifies the reminder that our called ministers, Reverend Ellen Quadgras and our Director of Lifespan Ministries, Kirsten Hunter, give us each week when they introduce themselves. Here at South Church, we all practice ministry, each of us bringing our own talents to this extraordinary work of building a beloved community. Thank you for being here. And so welcome. In this, our first post-Thanksgiving service, I am grateful that you are here. Whether you join us every week or this is your first time, you are welcome. You are welcome, whatever your state of mind this morning. You are welcome whether you are here or you are watching online. Welcome. We are all welcome here in this place made sacred by the ideals we honor and the work we do together to build that better world. We come here together here in a space built on land that was first stewarded by the Abenaki and Pennacook tribal nations, here for so many generations before settlers came, nations that did not cede this land and still fight for formal recognition. Our theme this month is generosity. Please take a look at your order of service, which lists the wonderful people who make these services possible each week. I want especially to honor those, oh so many, who are working behind the scenes, even now as I speak. Thank you, Hilary, for all your help to make this service come together, and especially for taking the prayer and meditation section, which neither of us are experienced at doing. Thank you, Susan Adams, for being at the piano, and today, as a special treat, one time at the organ. And of course, South Church folk, which we love to hear when you sing. And finally, a thank you to Jen Deo-Barry for leading the time for all ages this morning, and an invitation to children to join her and the RE staff and our volunteers downstairs after that for services there. There are large print hymnals and assisted living devices available. Please raise your hand to ask for an usher to bring one to you if you need one of those aids. And of course, silence those cell phones. I know I've been guilty of mine going off during the service. And now, Jen, if you would like to come forward and make our announcements.
Hello. 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 Is it working? Yes? Okay, so I'll speak loudly into the soft microphone. Several things going on at South Church. First, the We Sing Interfaith Choir will be rehearsing this coming Wednesday evening from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at Temple Israel, which is a couple of blocks in that direction. You can use the rear entrance, which is on Court Street, for the temple. And if you have not been getting emails about that and would like to, you can email Johnny. And his email address is johnny@southchurch-uu.org. Also coming up on Friday is the South Church holiday party and decorating and silent auction. Decorating will begin at 4:30. There's a potluck party with music and joy and a silent auction. So that will be a great evening. That's coming up this Friday, December 1st. And finally, there will be a children's market, a sweet opportunity for all kids to shop at no cost for the special people in their lives, which has been lovingly organized by Donna Waldron. That will happen on December 10th after worship. Donations for that are collecting in the narthex, so if you have things today or next Sunday for that, you can leave them in the narthex. And then on the 10th, all children after worship and RE are invited to participate in that market. Kids of all ages. If you have friends who don't even come to church but would like that opportunity, you can bring them that day. It's open for all kids and totally free, and people will even help wrap those gifts. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm BJ Lates.
And I'm Dick Lates. We want to share our thoughts about South Church with all of you this morning. What seems to be wrong, BJ?
Well, we have been hearing some wonderful testimonials over the last 2 months. And now, what's left for us to say about why we're all here and why we want to pledge to support this amazing church? Last week, I told Ann that she said everything I wanted to say, and in such a beautiful way.
Yes, I agree. Maybe we should just think back over the last year since we joined South Church and list our highlights, like joining a covenant group. That was one of the best things I ever did in a church setting. Just what I had been searching for.
Or when Reverend Ellen arrived and how quickly she understood the importance of lay leadership. I'm always amazed at what our lay leaders share with us during the service and how it fits so beautifully with the theme of the week and with what Ellen and Kirsten share with us.
And what about our educators? And what is discussed with our youth and with all of us? The stories are so deep. I often think about them during the week.
And then there's the wonderful music. So many gifted singers and musicians. I feel as though we are showered with beautiful sound every week. And remember when the leftist marching band arrived? Everyone was so surprised. What a moment. I never saw so many smiling faces.
We've really been so enriched by our experiences here since we joined a year ago. How many church communities have we been members of in our travels together?
7, I think. Who knew we would find a community where we didn't want to miss a single service or even a meeting?
I'm truly grateful to be part of this community, and I know you are too, BJ. That's why I'm happy that we've made our pledge for 2024.
And I encourage all of you to consider making your pledge if you haven't done so already. Last we heard there was about 80% who had completed their pledges. And if you haven't pledged, don't miss the opportunity to get us to 100%. We are all here to cheer you on.
On that cue, how about a flashback to our high school pep rallies so many years ago? Are you all ready? Audience participation, please. Give me a P.
P.
Give me an L.
L.
Give me an E.
E.
Give me a D.
D.
Give me a G.
G.
Give me an E.
E.
What have you got?
Go South Church team.
Thank you very much.
As Jim lights the chalice here in the sanctuary, I invite you who are in another place or at another time to light a light or candle in your home. And we light the chalice to these words from Desmond Tutu. My humanity is bound up in yours, for we can only be human together. Please stand and join me in reciting the mission statement. At South Church, we nurture spiritual growth through worship, learning, and community. We celebrate the worth and dignity of all people and inspire one another to act on our faith in the larger community. Thank you. When I was given the option to get confirmed in the Episcopal Church of my youth, I chose not to. A few years later, in 10th grade, I realized I yearned for a spiritual home. I tried attending a few services at various churches, but nothing resonated with my heart. The only time I felt at home was Easter sunrise services at various churches, at Easter sunrise services behind the Stage Neck Inn at York Harbor Beach or on top of Waterville Valley's Mount Tecumseh, my favorite. Dressed in a parka and snow pants, skis strapped on, surrounded by snow, watching the sun rise over the mountains. That was where I found my God. I couldn't tell you what was said at those services, but I do know that I felt the sense of awe and connection that I hoped church would give me. But these experiences of connection I felt when in the natural world didn't give me the human connections that I yearned for. For years, meditation was my church, but again, another solitary experience. I looked at Buddhism, and some of the central beliefs resonated with me, but like all religions I looked into, it seemed that they all required that I act in prescribed ways and believe specific tenets. And perhaps like you, turns out I don't like to be told what to think or how to act. When I first attended South Church about 12 years ago, I had developed such an aversion to established religion that I wouldn't tell people where I was going on Sunday morning. It was about a year before I let anybody know. And I discovered that my greatest religious aversion was to Christianity because I believed that it had been used against too many groups of people to subjugate them in some way due to their gender or class or race. That may not have been fair, but it was how I perceived it was being used. Over these 12 years, I've had to work at accepting all religions as having value. I knew that all religions were based in love, and it wasn't the religion that was dangerous, but what I kept seeing was that it was humans who perverted them to be a means to an end. And now, once again, I'm exposing myself to, and this time appreciating others' paths to God. When I visit a dear friend of mine who converted to Sufism, I appreciate her devotion and prayers. When I attended a gospel singing summer workshop with Kathy Bullock, I didn't cringe at her praise of Jesus and the Lord. In fact, I was drawn to the depth and strength of her convictions. I yearned that I could have that myself. And when I sang gospel with her, I could feel her passion and joy. I had the same experience when I sang with gospel the last weekend, I guess it was, with Voices of the Heart. And it was the gospel songs that really had my heart opening with joy. And the same experience occurred to me when I attended New Hope Baptist Church a couple weeks ago. Such wholehearted and unrestrained love expressed when singing. I love that passion. I seem to be on a path that draws me closer to established religions. I attended the interfaith service of Thanksgiving, honoring our shared humanity at North Church last Sunday. 2 services in one day. That was a lot, but worth it. It was wonderful to hear multiple faiths share their holy books, their basic beliefs, and their songs. Jewish, Muslim, Baha'i, Christian, UU. And now we have the opportunity to be part of an interfaith choir led by Johnny Pfeiffer, which you heard about during announcements. And this is good. I love my UU faith, but this experience of joining with other spiritual paths makes it so much richer for me. So I hope others will join me at the choir, in the choir. And so come to the rehearsal on Wednesday. Johnny doesn't know I was going to make a plug for his choir. Okay, well, that's it. Okay, please rise as you are able and join in singing. Opening music, 346, Come Sing a Song with Me.
find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
Okay, I would love to invite all kids and anybody else who would like to come up and come into this space for a time for all ages. Come on up. Yes. Hi, Leo. Nice. And here comes Isla. Go, go, go. Awesome. So, everybody, if I were going to tell you a story that had a wolf as a character, what would you expect that character to be like? Do people think nice and cuddly is what a wolf would be like? That laughing tells me that that's not what we would expect. What do most fairy tales have about wolves? Not the fairy tales I've read. Anybody else? Maybe someone out in that direction. Oh, here we go. Big bad wolf. They're gonna blow your house down. Claire. Yeah, the wolf is gonna eat everybody. Big and bad and vicious and mean. That's mostly what we hear in stories. And sometimes we talk about a certain kind of being that lives on this planet that is kind of superior to all the animals because they're capable of reason and love and compassion and generosity. Who do we tend to think of? I'm not going over here anymore. Maybe over in this direction. If I say those things, who do we? Humans, people, right? And it's humans and people that say those things about both wolves and people, so it's a little suspicious. And I want to tell you today about a story that I heard yesterday on a really good podcast called This American Life. And if you haven't heard it yet for this week, I'm sorry, I'm going to spoil it all for you, but you should still go listen to it. It's really good. And it had a scientist this week who studies wolves, and he's been observing wolves for over 40 years. And he goes out every single day, and he watches the wolves, and he writes everything down that the wolves do. Thousands and thousands of pages he's written, and he's written books, and his name is Rick McIntyre. And so he watches these wolves, and also the wolves have radio collars. So the scientists can electronically monitor where the wolves go and how they interact with each other and what they do. And so he's an expert on wolves and wolf behavior and knows like pretty much everything about them. And on the podcast, he was talking about this litter of little baby wolf pups that were born, 4 brothers. And 3 of those brothers were strong and healthy pups, and one of them was much smaller and not as strong, which that does happen sometimes in a litter, where one of them isn't as strong. And so Rick wasn't surprised because he knew so much about wolves. He wasn't surprised to see that the 3 stronger pups kind of made it hard for the little one to get food, and they picked on him and they kind of pushed him out a lot. But that little wolf did his best, and he worked really hard and got along okay. But it also meant that as they all grew, the 3 grew faster and got bigger and stronger, and that little one just didn't even grow as fast. So he was always smaller. And there was one day that Rick saw these 4 brothers out playing, and then all of a sudden, they ran off into the woods. They were gone for a little bit, and then he sees them come running back. And one of those strong wolf pups, they were kind of like teenagers at this point. One of them was carrying a dead elk calf, which is kind of like the ultimate food for a wolf, kind of like the Thanksgiving turkey of the wolf world. And so this scientist, knowing a lot about wolves, was surprised that these teenager wolves would have been able to catch this perfect food at their age, and he realized pretty quickly that they hadn't, because the three strong wolves are running, the smaller one is running behind them, not as fast because he can't run as fast, and then he sees a big grizzly bear chasing them. So these little wolves had taken this grizzly bear's awesome food and ran, and the grizzly bear was mad, and he was coming to get him. And because that smaller wolf, who was called 8, because each wolf had a number on their collar, and so they just called them by their numbers, and the smaller one was number 8. 8 couldn't keep up, and the bear was catching up to these wolves. And so this scientist thought, oh boy, I know how this goes. This bear is going to catch and kill that number 8 wolf. So he's watching, he's a little nervous. And then something really unexpected happened. Number 8 stopped and turned to face the grizzly bear. Just stopped in his tracks and faced the grizzly bear. And Rick was really surprised, because that's not normal behavior. And Rick wasn't the only one who was surprised. The bear was very surprised, because that is not normal behavior. So the bear stopped too and looked confused, and the bear left. And so nobody got hurt. And so number 8 had done this like brave, heroic thing, but his brothers didn't really seem to care, still didn't share that awesome food, still kind of picked on him. And so as they got a little older, 8 started spending time by himself. And he would go off wandering without his brothers. And one day, as a young adult wolf, he came across a mother wolf and her 8 brand new tiny wolf pups. These pups had just been born. And unfortunately, on the day that they were born, the father wolf of that litter, the father had been shot and killed illegally by a human. And so that was a big problem, because little tiny baby wolves, they have to be kept warm. They can't keep themselves warm. So the parents need to keep them warm, and they need to eat. They can't feed themselves. And so normally the mother and father wolves work together to raise little puppies. But this mother, if she left her babies to go get food, they would freeze to death. And if she stayed to keep them warm, then they would all starve to death. And so 8 came across this situation, and 8 started helping to take care of these puppies. And he kind of adopted them and became like the stepdad of this family. and he would help bring food, and as the puppies got a little older, he played with them, and by playing with them, he was teaching them how to grow up into wolves, to learn things that would be important for them. And even a lot of regular wolf dads don't play with the pups, but 8 was still pretty young, and he really played a lot and formed really good bonds with these puppies. And one puppy in particular, number 21, they called him, he and number 8 seemed to make a really special bond. And as the other puppies grew up, they all started leaving their pack to go to other packs, because that's what wolves do. As they grow up, they leave their own pack to go and find a mate, to start having puppies of their own, so they'll join another pack, and then young adult wolves from other packs will join their pack. So they all left except number 21. Number 21 stayed with the mom and the stepdad, which was really unusual. And 8 and 21 would go on these really cool adventures where number 8 was older and wiser and would know how to find the prey, but 21 grew stronger and faster, and so he would take down the prey, and they made a great team. It was awesome and surprising. But then, after several years, 21 was this magnificent wolf and actually became famous, and humans from all over would travel just to see this magnificent wolf in the wild. And 21 eventually did, after a few years, leave to join another pack. But interestingly, the pack he joined was a neighboring pack that was known for their aggressiveness and violence. The leader of that pack was a female, because apparently each pack has a female leader who makes the decisions and the plans for the pack, and a lead male who carries out and leads the pack in doing those plans. And the female of this pack that 21 went to, the scientists knew her to be very violent, would attack and kill other wolves, even killed some of her sister's puppies. And so she was this, they thought she was this really mean wolf. And 21 joined, found a mate in that pack, and started having his own puppies. And then tensions started to grow between the two packs. They had fought in the past, and it was kind of time for that to happen again. And they were starting to encroach on each other's territories. Wolves do that, other animals do that, even humans do that. And so tensions were growing, and the scientists knew that there was a wolf war coming. And because number 8 was the older, wiser leader of his pack, the scientists knew that 8 would be leading the pack into this battle, and 21, being this big, strong, fast wolf, would be leading his pack. And so the scientists knew that this was going to be really, really bad for number 8, because he was getting older, he had health problems, and he just wasn't strong. And so this man, Rick, started to feel really sick in his belly about this, because he knew the only thing that was going to happen, he was positive that 8 would get killed in this battle that was coming. He could predict this. And he really, really wanted to be able to intervene and stop it, but he couldn't do anything. All he could do was watch and record his observations. And so over days, this is happening. They're starting to take it closer. They're howling back and forth to each other, all the things that wolves do when a wolf war is coming. And this man, Rick, is feeling worse and worse about 8, because he thought this wolf is so cool and has done these really sweet things, and now he's just going to be killed by this big wolf. So he's watching, he's seeing them move, they're getting closer and closer, and then the day comes, and they're running at each other, and sure enough, 21 is out in the lead, and his pack is following him. They're running, and 8 is out in the lead of his pack, and they're running this way. They're getting closer and closer, and they're headed right for each other, and Rick is getting so upset and nervous and worried, like this is the last time he'll see number 8, and they get within feet of each other, and then another amazing thing happens. Number 21 goes slightly to the side. And 8 and 21 just run right past each other. Right past each other. So these two packs that the scientist was sure they're going to have this bloody, deadly war is so surprised because no wolves were killed that day. Not at all. And Rick was so relieved but couldn't believe it. And to this day, he still says it's the most emotional day of his life. So, I think from this story, we can learn that humans have quite a bit to learn about compassion and love and generosity from wolves. So, let's go downstairs.
Now is the time for our offering, time for us to support all the good work and programs of this church. And as you know, every month we choose an organization in our community to whom we want to share our riches. So I'd like to talk a little bit about Seacoast Family Promise because our church is very much involved with them, and I'm not sure everybody here knows about that. But we, prior to 2020, we would house up to 4 homeless families in our parish hall 3 different weeks a year, and we would provide fellowship and meals in the evenings. And once they stopped coming into the church and they found a home, temporary home at that time, Joshua House in Greenland, we continued to provide meals 3 weeks a year. We do it like the second week in January, 4th of July, and Halloween weeks. So our next one is January 7th. So in addition to being generous with your money, you can also contact Meg Leonard and become part of somebody who makes the meals for Seacoast Family Promise. I also want you to know that they have been so successful, and their work is really vital these days because most of the families do develop permanent housing because they give them so much more than housing, is they have plans to double the size of Joshua House so they can serve twice as many people. And I just thought it was important for everybody to know that. So please give generously to South Church and Seacoast Family Promise. And there are many ways to give. You can go to our website, southchurch-uu.org, for more information. You can go to Seacoast Family Promise's website. You can give now on your Venco app. Many ways, but please give. The offering will now be gratefully received.
To a stranger, to a friend.
Prayer for Peace by Lao Tzu. If there is to be peace in the world, there must be peace in the nations. If there is to be peace in the nations, there must be peace in the cities. If there is to be peace in the cities, there must be peace between neighbors. If there is to be peace between neighbors, there must be peace in the home. If there is to be peace in the home, there must be peace in the heart. May we all find peace in our hearts and spread it around. We invite you to take a moment and reflect on a joy or concern you are holding. If you would like to light a candle as a symbol of what is in your hearts, you may go up the center aisle and back around and light a candle to signify what is in your heart. If it's something that you'd like Reverend Ellen or Kirsten to know about, or the pastoral associates, there's a blue card you can use and hand it to either of us or an usher, or you could contact them directly. Please know that you are not alone.
morning again. I'm in front of you today because an American Baptist preacher captured my heart and made me rethink my rejection of the big G God, Christianity, and for that matter, creedal religion of any sort. Last summer, I went to her sermons 6 days straight. Quite a testament to her, quite a surprise to me. Now, for those of you who may be getting anxious about where I'm going with this, relax. The point of my remarks today is that generosity, particularly generosity of spirit toward those who believe things differently from us, from ours, can help us honor those words that our children say downstairs every Sunday. After all, this is the church of the open mind, of the loving heart, of the helping hands. First, a very brief overview of Chautauqua, a community of only 125 year-round residents in very western New York on Lake Chautauqua that attracts 4,000 people each week for 9 weeks every summer. Founded in 1874 as a summer camp for Methodist Sunday school teachers, today Chautauqua is primarily a place for intellectual and cultural stimulation. Each week is based on a theme. This was Carlos and my first time to Chautauqua. Our week was Games and Play. Chautauqua still has a very Protestant Christian flavor. Each day begins in the amphitheater with a worship service. All the sermons relate to the week's theme and are given by the same guest minister, preacher of the week. I'm not sure why I went to that first service that Sunday. Curiosity, I suppose, and a willingness to experience fully this new place. The Reverend Zena Jacques is a black woman with an extraordinary gift for preaching. That first Sunday, the game was hide and seek, and the biblical text was the prodigal son. How many recall the chant that the person who was it had to yell after giving up on finding all those last remaining hiders? When I was a kid, it came out as, "Ollie, ollie, oxen free." Reverend Jack began by explaining its origins. It's from 19th century English, and the original phrase was, all ye out in free. And she asked, is there any better definition of the gospel? No matter what we've done, no matter how far we have strayed, we are welcomed back. And that is the first message of the prodigal son. The youngest son returns, broken and full of shame. The son doesn't know how he will be received. He knows he has squandered his inheritance, denied his father, and forsaken his place in the household. The father joyfully welcomes him back and unconditionally restores his status in the family. In effect, he cries, "Ollie, ollie, oxen free! All ye out in free." His welcome is a generous gift of restoration, renewal, and reunion. For Reverend Jacques, the Father represents God, big G, and Jesus, his compassionate forgiveness of our sins. The Son represents us, beloved and redeemed. But for Reverend Jacques, that is not the only point of the story. As she explained, this generosity was not free for the Father. Compassionate is a word not used about men in the Gospel of Luke. Rather, it is connected, she said, to Greek, to the word for womb. The only time it is used for men in the Gospel of Luke is in the parable of the Good Samaritan and with respect to Jesus. In the Old Testament, this Father showing compassion is breaking all the societal rules of his time. The point: the Father values his relationship with his Son over the norms of his culture. It is with respect to the older son that the Reverend Jacques presented the question for our lives. The older son has remained home, followed all the rules, done what his father wishes. He feels resentful and righteous. The older son does not offer compassion. He privileges being right over being in relationship. Reverend Jacques suggested that we think about that when we might be like the older brother. We can be right and tear down communities, leaving us all alone in a corner. We can stand on a principle and break a heart that is never repaired. We can privilege right over relationship when we speak without thinking about our impact on others. In her Christian context, quote, we abrogate God's command to love our neighbors as ourselves. It was at this point that it began to dawn on me. This Baptist preacher was using her Christian faith and a biblical text to lead us to a message that is integral to our Unitarian Universalist principles, both historically, as we see every Sunday, and as we recite in our own mission statement. We celebrate the worth and dignity of all people. This message speaks to both of our first two principles. First principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Second principle, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. She said that we privilege right over relationship every day when we privilege our right to live well over our relationship with the earth, when we ignore our carbon footprint. And I love this. In her words, we can rape the earth. Americans' notion of rugged independence is a lie from the pit of hell. Nobody is independent. We are all interdependent. A lie from the pit of hell. This message happens to be core to our seventh principle. We say it more gently. Respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. The Father's generous gift to his broken younger son is a metaphor for the gift each of us can bring to this broken world. Reverend Jacques exhorted us to be generous with the gifts that our faith brings to us. And in her words, whatever our faith is, we are called to stand against the hate that is rising in our nation, stand against courts that overstep our boundaries, stand against those who speak about others as if they are not human, stand with our brothers and sisters so we can marry and love whomever we love, so we can say to children that you can go to any college you've earned admissions to. Ollie, ollie, oxen free. All ye, out in free. Her conclusion, we are all needed for the work of justice and peace. Without each of us and the gifts we bring, the tapestry is incomplete. The work is too big, she said, if we don't have you. She could just have easily been speaking about our sixth principle, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. And that was just the first sermon. Over the next 5 days, Reverend Jacques used charades, Jenga, Monopoly, Sorry, and on Friday, jigsaw puzzles by a company that does not give you the picture. Tying each game to a specific biblical text and life message. I could spend another several sermons recounting those sermons, those lessons. But now I want to come back to the anxiousness that no doubt I saw some of you feeling at the beginning. And certainly I know I would have had I been out there and one of you were up here starting a sermon that way. I was hearing Unitarian Universalist teachings from a Baptist preacher steeped in the divinity of Christ and using the Bible as her source. My faith is here, in this community, guided by our 7 Unitarian Universalist principles and our 6 sources, building together that beloved community. I am one of those among us who has been seared by negative experiences of Christian faith. Baptized both Catholic and Southern Baptist, I long ago rejected that faith, and I only came here to this church for my children. I have been known to bristle here at the suggestion that we might let Big G God be considered or even mentioned. And yet, over the past 5 years, I have worked closely on immigrant justice with the Seacoast Interfaith Sanctuary Coalition, and thank you for all of you who have helped with that work. I have seen in very concrete terms how others' Christian faith calls them to the same social justice action that my Unitarian Universalist faith calls me. As I listened to Reverend Jack, my generosity of spirit towards those working within a Christian faith community broadened once again. Here were those tales from the Bible, once presented to me as literal truth and actual facts. Abraham was 110 and had his first kid. Give me a break. Being so effectively used as life lessons for our modern lives. As my experience pushed at the outer edges of that generosity of spirit, this time specifically toward Christian teaching as done by Reverend Jacques, I wondered, am I, shortchanging the richness Christianity can offer, using a source, the biblical text, that was once at the heart of our Unitarian and Universalist faiths? I don't have the answer to that question, but I think it's worth our consideration. May it be so. And now, please join me in singing hymn number 323. And I think the choirs, no. Break Not the Circle.
Break not the circle of enabling love, where people grow forgiven and forgiving. Break not that circle, make it wider still, till it includes, embraces all the living. Come wonder at this love that comes to life, where words of freedom are with humor spoken, and people keep no score of wrong and guilt, but will that human bonds remain unbroken. Join then the movement of the love that frees, till people of whatever race or nation will truly be themselves, stand on their feet, see eye to eye with laughter and elation.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Once again, thank you all for being here. It's a Thanksgiving conclusion weekend, and I think that we all have much to be grateful for, whatever our circumstances. Go now in peace.
faithful